This morning, we're going to have a regular sermon because it's getting late, of course, and you heard a good message through the songs the choir sang this morning. But I just wanted to kind of share just a little bit about this. And, I told you that when we started practicing this, that song, Hope Has Hands, really kind of hit me, and it just made me think of some things. And so that's what the messages have been about here the last few weeks. Grace has a face, freedom has feet. Today it's hope has hands. And as we've looked at this, we've looked at Mary a little bit and how she felt and the things that she thought about with that little baby that she held in her arms on that first Christmas night. And, the first thing, she looked at his face, probably checked out his feet, and then his little hands. Your little baby, you always put your finger in their hands so they can grip it. And you hold them, and I'm sure she held those hands as he was learning to walk. She and Joseph both, how you do that with their kids. And these little hands that she had. And I just wonder, as we sang that song, Mary, did you know? Did you know what all those little hands were going to do? Did she know that those hands were going to take 5 loaves and 2 fish and break them apart and feed 5,000 people with them? And then later, those same hands were going to take the loaf and they were going to break it and pass it to the 12 who were with him. Said, "This is my body." And then those hands were going to take the cup and say, "This is my blood." And did she know that those hands were going to take some mud and some spit, and she's going to make it into a paste and put it on the eyes of a blind man, and that blind man was going to see? Did she know that Jesus was going to take those hands and use his fingers to put them in a deaf man's ears, and he was going to hear? Did she know that he was going to take his finger and put it on a man who could not speak tongue, and he would speak? Did she know that he was going to touch the untouchable, a man who had leprosy, and yet he touches him and tells him that he is clean? And he was. Did she know all these things were going to happen with those little hands that he had? But then as he grows older, the man who had been entrusted to raise the Son of God, Joseph, was a carpenter. And I never thought about it, but he probably was with his father there, who he called father there, his earthly father, in the shop with him, and probably helped him. He probably held the boards. He maybe helped to pound some nails, helped to put the pieces together with those hands. But then later, those same hands would be nailed to a piece of wood. Jesus had brought healing to so many people with using his hands, by touching them. But now, by his hands being put on a board and then the nail being driven through them, he was bringing healing for all of us. In Isaiah it says, "He was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him. By his wounds we are healed." The wounds that came from those hands being nailed to that cross bring us peace with God. They bring us healing. They heal us from all that harms us. Not just diseases and such, but more from sin itself. And so those little hands bring us hope. Hope of peace with God. Hope that we can have a relationship with God the Father through what Jesus Christ did. By his living among us, by his becoming flesh, having hands and feet and a face, Jesus brought us hope. And so today, I hope we'll remember that. Christmas, so many times we think of that little baby in the manger. Oh, he's so cute. But the whole reason he came was to be our salvation. to bring us hope through our faith in him. Without him, we don't have any. But because he came, we have hope for eternal life, for a life that lasts beyond this one, that goes on forever and ever. And he brings us hope for this world as well. Even when the world seems hopeless, he brings hope if we'll just put our trust in him. And so, as we said in the choir song, it says, come. And so we're going to ask you today, if you need to make Christ your Lord, if you need to accept the gift that he's given you by giving his life for you and then raising from the dead so that you might have that hope of eternal life forever with him, we ask you to come. So we're going to stand and we're going to sing our song of commitment. And it's "O Come All Ye Faithful." And we'll sing the first and I think it's the last verse. If you got a decision to make, won't you come?